Hey there. Welcome to Toy Talk with Mike and Chad, episode 39. Yeah.
You're Mike?
I'm Mike and you're Chad.
I'm Chad.
I think I already...
That's okay.
I screwed that up.
This is our third episode tonight, so...
Yes.
That's why we're wearing the same clothes again.
Yes. If you're a regular viewer and you've actually watched our previous two episodes, because I will probably space these out and post them over the next 2 weeks or so. We shot three episodes in one night. And we might be getting a little bit loopy at this point.
I might just have to keep a reserve of t-shirts here. So on nights when we do multiple episodes, just switch out of one t-shirt.
Or there's just a filter I need to install that I can change our shirts.
We have cat faces.
Yeah. Okay, so we did an episode tonight where we talked about San Diego Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. We did an episode tonight where we talked about your new stuff.
Yep.
Which was pretty much all these Ninja Turtles.
From Mutant Mayhem. Coming out on August 2nd.
And some Joker figure. So today, we're going to talk about just my miscellaneous stuff. So, the first thing I'll talk about is a couple weeks back, almost a month back now, I think, there was a local toy show. And we've been to a couple of toy shows together. Sometimes you're stuck working and you're not able to go. I've kind of gone with my brother. My brother was away, so
I was away too.
Yeah, you might want to talk about that a little bit too. I don't know. So you were away that weekend for a board game convention thing or something. How was that?
King Con.
Did you need a drink of water or something, dude?
No, I'm okay. It'll go away. I'm not talking a lot in this episode.
Get a hairball.
Must be from the cat face. So I was away at King Con, which is a local board game community event hosted by King's Tabletop and Board Game Society.
Okay.
So it's based out of Kentville in Kings County. Mm-hmm. And it was a whole weekend. I went up Friday night with my buddy Al. And it's literally just a board game convention. So they have a big game library. You can sign games out and play, meet new people. We went up Friday after work, stayed until they closed at 11, and went back very early the next morning with 3 more of our friends and stayed the whole day. So it was from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. again.
Okay.
And we didn't go Sunday just because we were all busy. We had a great time, played some good games. They had lots of free stuff there. I walked out with 30 packs of Magic cards for free because nobody else took them. So that was great.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering, not Magic cards, but
Magic beans.
Yeah. So that was a good time. Unfortunately, that was the weekend of the toy show, so I missed that. Yeah. But
that's all right. Yeah. So you invited me along. Thank you. Gaming's not really one of my corners of nerddom, but glad you had fun. I went to the toy show, and it was good. We have talked about these toy shows a couple of times in the past when we have gone together. And I'm glad they have them here because I've been a toy collector for decades, and basically you have to go to Toys R Us or Walmart to get your toys or shop online. We don't have toy shows here. And now it's become kind of a regular occurrence. So that's cool. They seem to throw one pretty much quarterly. We've had 4 or 5 of these toy shows now. So I hope they continue. But I also hope they grow.
Yeah.
Because
it's the same people.
It's the same people every time.
Selling the same stuff.
The same stuff. They're even in the same spot. So they have their same corners booked. That, the same guys kind of have just the same stuff over and over again. I've bought a couple of things every show. But I'm starting to get familiar with what's there. And if I had to miss one, I wouldn't be worried. Oh no, what if they have that thing I've been looking for? Because I kind of know they're not going to have that thing I'm looking for. But anyway, I'm glad they have them. I always go to support them, and I try to buy a few things. So I did. I bought a few comic books. Mm-hmm. It's not a big comic book show, but there's usually 5 or 6 people that have 2 or 3 boxes of random stuff you can flick through. So I bought maybe 10 random comic books. There was a guy selling, my friend Glenn actually was selling a bunch of G.I. Joes. Actually, I'll show you those guys next. First, I got this Star Wars retro figure. So this is Ned B. From the Obi-Wan show. And he's done in that retro Kenner style. So these figures, they're really simple, 5 points of articulation. I really like these because they blend in with your retro Star Wars figures from the 80s, but they're overpriced. You go to Walmart or whatever, these things are like $23. So I really like this design of this droid, but he wasn't worth $23 to me. But yeah, somebody had him still carded. He was $10, and I was like, yeah, sold. That's the price point I need. So I got him. I think he's really cool. I probably will splice in quick little close-up reviews of all of these things after you leave, Chad, so people will get a closer look at Ned. But yeah, he's pretty cool. And then, yeah, the other things I bought were some G.I. Joes from my buddy Glenn. And so I got this loose barbecue. So barbecue is like the G.I. Joe firefighter. He first came out in 1985, I think. He had an orange outfit with like a silver helmet that made him look kind of like a medieval knight. I love that design. But later into the 90s, he gets some weird-ass redesign. So yeah, when I see this, it doesn't look like barbecue to me. But it's not a bad figure. I kind of like its bright colors. He's got a clear visor where you can see his face. I wasn't collecting G.I. Joes anymore into the 90s. I'd kind of given up on it. So when I do see like a 90s Joe figure that I skipped for a good price, and I think he was selling for $5 or something.
Sounds about right.
If even that. I might have paid $2 or $3 for him. So yeah, I grabbed him. And then he also had... So, G.I. Joe, after it went away in the 90s, it was dormant.
Was it 95?
94 was 94, the last year. Okay. Now, it's a little bit of a gray... It depends on how you want to categorize G.I. Joe going away. Because the original toy line ran from 82 to 94, and then it was over. But I think it was like the very next year they rebooted it with something called like Sergeant Savage. And then that lasted like a year, and then they did G.I. Joe Extreme. Mm-hmm. Or it might be the reverse. I can't remember if Extreme or Savage came first. But that usually involved like a new comic book, a new cartoon sometimes, a new toy line with different scale. So like the G.I. Joe Extreme Joes were shaped more like... like Ninja Turtles. They were 5 inches. They had like less articulation. They were pre-posed in like action stances. Neither of those really caught on. And then G.I. Joe was legit gone for like 2 or 3 years. And then by about 97, they started repainting some of the old 80s figures and making them Toys R Us exclusive, and they'd sell them in like 2-packs. So you could kind of argue G.I. Joe came back in 97, 98. But it was a retailer exclusive. It was just repainted old toys. So... it was only maybe the hardcore collectors that were seeking them out. It was 2002 when Hasbro seemed to put a push on G.I. Joe again. And they started releasing brand new figures with brand new sculpts. And that era is known to collectors as the new sculpt era because they had new sculpts. That doesn't really work anymore because the next time they released G.I. Joe, they had new sculpts. The next time they released G.I. Joe, so...
New sculpt era plus.
Well, I think collectors are trying to switch into calling it, like, say, Generation 2. And then the 4-inch figures that came out around 2007, that would be like Generation 3. There isn't really an official term. But anyway, that Generation 2 started in 2002. Those figures have their issues. Some of them are weirdly proportioned and everything. But I have a lot of fondness for that era. And I bought a lot of the figures. But they put out so many figures in those years. Like, I couldn't get them all. Most of the local retailers didn't carry them, so I'd buy them on eBay and stuff. Anyway, my buddy Glenn, he had some figures still carded from those years. So I bought a couple from him. And he gave me a deal. So thank you, Glenn. He had mentioned that, like, yeah, last time I sold you toys at the toy show, you mentioned me in the video and you got a bit of a kick out of it. Mm-hmm. So I'll do that again. Glenn Greenham, thank you for the toys. I even took a picture of him holding these toys up, which I'll put in here. So there's my buddy Glenn selling me some toys. He's always at these toy shows. I'm not sure, like, selling toys is kind of his side gig, but, like, I don't know if I can plug him anywhere. I don't think he has a site. Maybe he's on eBay. I don't know. But if you can support Glenn, go do that. Anyway, so these are some 2-packs of Joes from that era. So the original set of Joes was called G.I. Joe vs. Cobra in 2002. In 2003, I think it was, they switched over to, I think Spy Troops came next. So the gimmick behind Spy Troops is, you see, this is Tunnel Rat, who you're familiar with. and Overkill. He's like the cyborg leader of the Cobra Bats.
Yeah.
Tunnel Rat has some gear, so you can disguise him as a Cobra character. So every one of these Spy Troops pack came with like either a Cobra with a G.I. Joe disguise, or what did I say? So G.I. Joe dressed as Cobra or Cobra dressed as Joe. One or the other.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, the outfits were pretty laughable because they weren't, it's basically like Shipwreck's body with like a Cobra Commander helmet on top. Like, he would obviously not actually be able to infiltrate Cobra headquarters like that, but, it was just a fun gimmick for kids.
The weapons make sounds? The weapons make sounds?
Yeah, I think some of them did. It says sound attack.
It says each gun makes a different noise.
Alright, well, these guys don't look to have guns that make noise. Because there have been plenty of G.I. Joe guns that make noise over the years, and they're usually really oversized with buttons on them. Their guns don't look oversized. Anyway, I have all my toys from this era opened up. I don't know if I'm going to open these guys. Because considering these things are like over 20 years old now, and I don't have any Spy Troops figures carded, I kind of thought this might be nice to keep one set of these figures carded and pinned to my wall, because I do have a set of G.I. Joe vs. Cobra. You see that black set there? And I have some of the like single carded figures from like 2007 carded and everything. So I kind of thought I'm going to buy one Spy Troops and one Valor vs. Venom. So this was the next series that came in like 2004. The premise behind this was that Cobra Commander was using this serum called Venomite to basically douse his troopers in ooze and mix them with animal DNA.
Ooze.
So, like you see, some of the villains are like Sand Scorpion, Razor Claw. These guys were mixed with animal DNA, whatever. So I had a lot of these toys from those years, but I did not have these two particular sets. Tunnel Rat and Overkill are both characters that I do have versions of. And this one's got Baroness, who I have tons of versions of Baroness.
Butchie Baroness.
It's not an attractive Baroness.
No.
But this figure here is a character called Hard Drive. He was like a new character that was introduced.
Like an android?
Nope, he's just like an IT guy.
Yeah.
And they give him like some weird cybernetic
That's why I asked
thing. But yeah. So he was kind of like replacing Mainframe, I guess. Okay. But anyway, so I never got him. So when I saw this set, and he was selling them for, I think $15 is what he had them priced at, which 20 years old, two characters, like these toys are not really in demand, but it's a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah, for sure.
So I bought these both. I'm going to keep them pinned on my wall, which was kind of a bummer because I had some water come into my man cave. I had a dehumidifier going. It overflowed. I got water all over my floor, and this pack got soaked. You probably can't really tell in the camera, but it's all warped and kind of gross looking. So that kind of sucks. The fact that these figures have remained carded for 20 years. I bought it. They were in good shape. The card's not bent or anything. And now it's all wonky looking.
It doesn't look terrible, though. I thought it was going to be a lot worse. That happened on our poker night.
Yeah, we were here playing poker. I went downstairs and stuck my head in this room. And, just water all over the floor. And, I went into a bit of a panic. But, nothing too badly damaged. I did have a couple of carded figures that got wet. But, not the end of the world. All right. So that is my toy show recap.
So we actually went to another toy thing after that weekend. It was at Giant Robot. They had a toy trade night. We were all stoked to go to that, see what people were bringing, but it was, again, the same people there.
What did I buy there?
You bought Cyclops' dad. Right. And some loose parts to make your dude. So
I'm not going to talk about this in this episode. It's the X-Men character Corsair. He's Cyclops' dad. But I have enough Marvel Legends piled up that I plan to do a whole video on my Marvel Legends. So he's over there. I'll talk about him later. But one of our local comic shops, they do this
toy trade night.
Toy trade where it allows people to come and bring their stuff. And because Giant Robot's pretty good about buying used toys anyway. If you want to get rid of stuff, they'll buy them off you and then they'll resell them. But they also host these nights which allow you to just sell it yourself, and Giant Robot doesn't take a cut.
No, it's perfect. Thanks for hosting that space, Daryl and
crew.
Family.
Yeah.
Daryl and crew.
So thanks Daryl for hosting that. We went. There wasn't very many people there, so it was kind of a bust maybe. But the other thing is literally like the Monday after the toy show that I went to on Saturday, and it was like all the same people.
The same people, yeah.
So Glenn was there again. and a couple other people. That was all stuff that I had literally just seen on Saturday, so there was really nothing to buy there. The thing that I did buy, Corsair, I bought him just off of the rack at Giant Robot Comics, so I didn't actually buy anything at Toy Trade Night. But anyway, again, that's just another thing. I'm glad they do it, and I would like to go and continue to support it, whether I buy anything or not. So yeah, hopefully they draw a bigger crowd next time.
I think this might have only been the second one since COVID.
Yeah, they used to do them kind of regularly. Yeah. I went with my brother once years ago, but yeah, it kind of went quiet. So here's a closer look at my toy show haul, starting with Barbecue. So you can see how he's got that cool kind of translucent, shield over his face. Because we never really got to see Barbecue's face before, not in action figure form. He took his helmet off quite a bit in the cartoon, but as far as action figures go, this is the first time we get to see Barbecue. I like the colors. I like the design of this outfit. I just probably would like this more if it was a different character, just because it's just too radical of a redesign for Barbecue, in my opinion. I'm kind of a sucker for the original costumes, having grown up with G.I. Joe from its launch. Anyway, one thing you will notice on here is he's got this kind of discoloration all over the front of his outfit. That is part of the Eco-Force gimmick. That's supposed to be like sludge on him, and if you spray him with water, that goes away. So, that's kind of cool. And then here's my Star Wars retro collection figure of Ned B. So, very simple. 5 points for articulation. Arms forward, backward, legs forward, backwards, head turns. He's got this little hammer accessory. He's pretty cool. Like I said, I really like this design of this robot. And I imagine we'll probably see this type of design showing up in future Star Warses. It's a very Star Wars-esque design. So, pretty cool. And then I've got my 2-packs from 2003 and 2004. Or vice versa. I can't remember which came first. So here is Baroness. So as me and Chad were saying, this isn't the best Baroness they've ever done. And besides her face not being particularly attractive, you can kind of see what I'm talking about with the weird proportions that happened during these years. Like, she's got really broad shoulders with those really big ball joints on the shoulders there. Plus she had really long legs with a really small torso. So she's really kind of emblematic of the type of stuff that we saw back then. You see she's got a little dagger here, some extra guns. Sometimes it can be a little hard to tell whose gun belongs to who. Are these hers or do they belong to hard drive? Speaking of hard drive, so here he is. So you can see why Chad might have thought he was like a robot or something, because he's got this little cybernetic thing. But I think that's basically the same as like his Google glasses. He's got like a little screen that he can see what's going on. Got a backpack with an antenna, which signifies some high-tech computer stuff, I guess. He's a pretty boring design, to be honest with you, with just the black and the green. There's really nothing particularly interesting about him. But I do think it's cool that they added some new characters to the new Sculpt years. That's one of the best things about it, is it wasn't just rehashing everything from my childhood. They were adding some new elements to it, and I was all about getting new characters. I'm not sure why I missed out on hard drive back then. It probably didn't help that he was packaged with another Baroness that I really wasn't interested in, so that might have deterred me from getting this pack. But yeah, it's not bad. There you see a bit of a cross promotion with some of the other characters. So we've got classics like Duke and Snake Eyes, but then there's new characters like High Tech and Razor Claw. So yeah, pretty cool. And then we've got the Spy Troops figures. So again, Tunnel Rat. He's a classic G.I. Joe character. He first appeared in the animated movie. He's had many figures over the years. This is, you can tell this is Tunnel Rat, but it's still a pretty big departure for him looks-wise compared to past figures. He's a little brighter colors and everything on this guy. And then there is Overkill. But actually, before we move on to him, I don't know if you can see back there. There is this helmet and a chest piece, as well as some shin guards and stuff. So that is the Spy Troops armor that you would put on Tunnel Rat to allow him to infiltrate Cobra headquarters. And then we've got Overkill. So this guy here is the cyborg leader of the Cobra Bats. the Battle Android Troopers. And he was introduced in the vintage toy line, like pretty late in the vintage line. I didn't have him, but my little brother did. But back then, he was pretty clearly like a full robot. But they kind of fleshed out his story in the comic books a little bit, and they redesigned him here. So he's got like a human face with like a hairline and eyebrows and everything. But the rest of his face is covered up in this scarf, and that's not removable, so you don't really know what's going on underneath his scarf there. And then he's got this kind of like robotic body, including the interchangeable gun hands that we saw on all the other versions of the Battle Android Trooper. So, and there's nothing on the back of this packaging, really. So, yeah, a pretty cool design for Overkill. Now, I actually have this figure. They released it in 2 different colors. There's one that's all brown and tan. I have that figure, so I didn't really feel the need to get this green and black one. As well as Tunnel Rat. This is an interesting design for him, but I already had other Tunnel Rats, so it wasn't super high on my list of priorities. But one reason that I bought these 2 packs at the toy show the other day is I had literally just listened to a podcast with some guys on Instagram that I follow. One of the guys' names is Toys and Tomfoolery, and he posts a lot of fun pics on Instagram. And he was going through all of his new Sculpt Era Joes, and he talked about this being one of his favorite characters. He posted it on Instagram, and he talked about it on his podcast. So I was kind of thinking, like, yeah, I could probably get that figure. And then just by chance, I happened to go to a toy show like that same week, and they had that figure there. Now, another interesting thing to note about this guy before I move on is they actually took that design for Overkill, which was introduced in this new Sculpt Era, the Generation 2, and they actually did make a new version of him in the 4-inch Generation 3 figures. So this is kind of a cool figure, which I don't think I've ever had a chance to talk about on the channel here before. But this is one of the figures that was made by the G.I. Joe Collectors Club as part of their figure subscription service, which they just usually took like existing parts and kind of mashed them up. So he's got some, you can tell he's got very robotic like feet and limbs. But then what's cool about him, so he has that same facial design with the red scarf that covers up his face. And this guy's got the black helmet that goes over top of it as well with the Cobra logo. So this is a pretty good recreation of him. But what I like about this one, that one does not do, is if you take off his helmet, you can actually take off this human face and reveal he's got kind of like a Terminator skull or something underneath of it, which is pretty cool. So knowing that there's this robo skull underneath the human face kind of retroactively makes this figure even cooler. So anyway, there you go. Alright, so that's toy show stuff. Now, I've got a whole bunch of other random stuff here. I don't know if I'll get through it all, but I'll try and talk quickly about some of it. Alright, so you reviewed your Joker.
I did.
Last episode.
Yes.
So you used to buy a ton of DC Multiverse stuff. Yeah. Not so much anymore. But so he was your kind of one-off.
Yeah.
I don't buy too much DC Multiverse either. When I do, it's usually just one random thing here and there. Maybe my favorite characters. Anyway, I was in Walmart the other day, and I was stuck at Walmart the other day because I took my mom to a medical appointment, which was in the same building around the corner, and I basically had to wander around Walmart for an hour and a half. At 8 a.m. Yeah, at 8 a.m. There was nowhere else to go. And so I kept picking up toys and thinking I was going to buy them, and I would put them down. Those Ninja Turtles were one thing. I had all these like new turtle figures. I was walking around with them, and I was like, no, I'm not going to buy these. And then I picked up this figure, and I put it back, and I picked it up, and I put it back. Anyway, by the time I left, I bought it. But this is a Black Manta figure.
Which I am extremely jealous of, by the way.
Yeah, so they had a whole line of Aquaman figures. So they had Aquaman, they had like Aqualad, they had Ocean Master, and they had Black Manta. None of the other figures really appealed to me, but this guy, he just looked super badass.
This was a page puncher, was it not?
It was a page puncher, so that means he came with
a comic.
He came with a trading card, and he also came with this comic book, which I haven't opened yet. I think it's just a reprint of Aquaman #1 with a new cover that features Black Manta specifically. But yeah, he's just I don't know a ton about Black Manta.
I've heard a few, but he's a cool looking figure.
Yeah, like he's just a dude in that armor.
Yeah.
And he was featured a little bit in the Aquaman movie. But when you see him, he looks like he'd be an alien or a robot or something. It's hard to imagine how a human head fits in that helmet.
Did they have more than one?
They only had one, but I was only at one Walmart. They might have them somewhere else.
Maybe I'll check when I'm in Cape Breton.
Yeah, and I was actually... So I picked him up, and there was no clear price on him, but there was some Black Adam DC figures there, and they were $29.99. So I thought, well, he's going to be $29 as well. But I took him over to the price scanner, and he rang up at $33.99, and he came up as a Naruto figure, or whatever the... Naruto? Yeah.
Naruto.
Whatever. Yeah. That weird anime thing. Because there was a bunch of those figures there, too. And I was like, oh, he's in there. Am I going to have to tell them, like, you have him wrong? But then I looked him up on Walmart's website to see if they had him for $29, and he was actually $35.99 on the website. All the page punchers were. So I was like, I'll just keep my mouth shut, and I'll pay the Naruto price for him. So it was more than I expected, but apparently it was less than I should have paid. So anyway.
So it's a win-win.
Win-win-ish. But yeah, that's a really cool design. Because in the comic books, he usually wears just kind of a unitard like any superhero does. But here they made him look much more real world, much more techy. And
now, this isn't one of the waves I've followed because it's fairly new. It's like within 2 years. From what I can remember, the action figures that came with the comics were only like this big.
They have both.
So they have both.
There are page punchers that have figures that are small, but there's also 6
that
inch.
Must be a new thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So he's cool. So here's a closer look at Black Manta. As I mentioned before, he comes packaged with a little trading card, which I can't be bothered to hold on to, so I throw that out. He comes with a comic book. He comes with a little display stand with the DC logo, which all of these DC Multiverse figures come with. And otherwise, he had one additional accessory, which is this. It's not quite a trident. I guess it's maybe a spear. I don't know what you would call this thing. And it's got kind of like a... I don't know, it's kind of a weird look to it. It kind of looks like the microphone that the guy from Korn has. But anyway. And then he has these two like sword bits on his forearms. And they look like they could possibly be removable. But they were not, separate in the packaging. They came like this. And they don't come out super easily. Like, I'm sure I could pull it apart, but I'd be worried if I did pull it out, I'd be, taken apart from a glued-in piece, and I wouldn't be able to get it back in there. But they are a little awkwardly placed that I kind of feel like they should be removable. Oh, and look, as I say that, one of them just came out. And it looks like it's almost on a little ball joint. And I don't see any glue on there, so I guess that means they probably are intended to be removable. Plugs in there, relatively simple. Okay, so that's good to know that those are removable. Okay. But anyway, let's take a look at the figure itself. So yeah, this is just a very cool design. I've always liked the design for Black Manta. I do have a figure of him from DC Direct, but it's more the classic costume design where he's basically just got a sleek black bodysuit with a big silver helmet on the top. I would bring him out for a side-by-side, but I've got a lot of my toys packed up right now. I'm planning on doing some renovations here in my toy room. I'm going to repaint the walls and stuff, so I've slowly been packing everything up. So I don't have easy access to my Black Manta because all my DC guys are packed up in a bin. But you can see how this guy here, they've definitely given him, a more real-world look with some, like, armor bits and this cool, like, textured wetsuit underneath. So, yeah, just a very cool design. There's lots of little armor bits, even down here on the heel of his feet and the toes of his feet, which are articulated, by the way, so you can get his toes up. And these little armor fins, double-jointed knees and elbows, so he's got a good range of movement. But yeah, it's just a really cool design. So I just really couldn't pass it up. I tried. I kept putting this guy back on the shelf. But then I just kept thinking, I really should pick up that figure. And yeah, it is really nice. So anyway, there you go. That's Black Manta. While we're on the DC train, so I don't buy many Multiverse, but I do buy a lot of the DC superpowers. which there isn't a whole lot of them yet. So I bought most of the figures, but I passed on this one when they first came out. So this is the Batman Who Laughs, which I still believe is a stupid character.
Yeah.
But not only is he a stupid character who didn't appear in the original Superpowers line, and part of the fun of the Superpowers line is
the nostalgia.
It's the nostalgia of the vintage line I had as a kid. Now, I actually really dig the idea of them making new characters in that style, just like with that Ned B. Star Wars figure. Like, he's done in the retro style, so you can put him with your old figures from the 80s. So I'm for this, but I find him specifically, like, he looks weird next to them. Like, they kind of have a body shape and stuff, and he just is a different shape. So I was like, I don't need this guy. But anyway, I went to GameStop. He'd been out for several months now, and they had him marked down to, I think, $10, down from his usual $17. And so I was like, well, whatever, for $10. So there you go. Batman Who Laughs. Sucks, but whatever. And then the other thing I bought, this is also stupid, but I love it. So I bought the Batwing, like bat plane, and I showed it to you guys a little while ago. So now I got the Superman plane, which they call the Supermobile. And it's totally dumb because it's a plane for Superman who can already fly faster than a speeding bullet. And the plane has fists, so Superman can punch. Superman can already punch like an asteroid back into space. He doesn't really need a plane that punches, but that's partly what I love about it. It's just how nonsensical it is.
And Todd needs more money, so...
Yeah, and I had this as a kid.
Yeah.
I had a little dinky car of it. I had like a little like kind of matchbox, and the fists on that moved still, I think, when you rolled it along the floor. So I kind of have some nostalgic connection to this. It's right here. So it's pretty good size. The figure fits inside of there. If you hit the little Superman logo, the cockpit pops open. It's got these two panels, which are supposedly jail cells. So
interesting.
I don't know if you can find a figure that's actually going to fit in there. Even this guy, who's particularly skinny, doesn't really fit in that jail cell. You can't really close that with him inside of there. But that's how they describe it.
So have you tried to sit Superman in there?
Yeah, he got his cape.
Does he fit better than Batman and the Batwing?
Yeah, they both are kind of crammed in there. Their cape kind of bunches up around them, but they do fit in there. Okay. And then the other feature on this is there's a little knob on the bottom, and when you turn it, the arms punch. So yeah, I love it. It's so dumb. So dumb. So there's that. So here's a closer look at my Superpowers figures. So first off, the Batman Who Laughs. So, it looks like this character, as far as I can tell. I don't know if I've even read a comic book with this guy in it. I think I have, but maybe not. But yeah, I don't know if you can see what I mean. He just doesn't really look like a Superpowers figure. So here's the Superman figure from Wave 1. I just feel they have like a stance and kind of a size. Now, I know this character is supposed to be skinny, so maybe that's why he's got a little bit of a different stance, but like he seems to be standing even just a little bit more upright than these guys. Like these guys sort of have a bend in their knee. I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining things. He just doesn't blend in with the other characters very well, in my opinion. But, yeah. He's alright, I guess. Anyway, as for the Supermobile, so let me pop this cockpit and we'll see how Superman fits in there. I'm going to tuck his cape a little bit. I'm going to bunch up a little bit, but there you go. So he fits. It's a little snug. I don't have a whole lot of room to work with here on my desk, but I just want to show you size-wise how big this is compared to the bat plane that I got a little while ago. So yeah, you can see it's, maybe you can't see, I don't know, it's quite a bit bigger. So there you go. But anyway, it's a fun vehicle. I think it's pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked about picking it up. What else we got? So here's a little guy. I've been buying a lot of those Marvel Legends retro figures, which are the little 5 points of articulation. The line is now canceled, so you probably won't see any more from me. They've been selling them on discount at the dollar stores here in Canada. Anyway, so I found the Hulk the other day. So he's just 5 points articulation. He's pretty simple. Nothing really spectacular. Part of the appeal of these things is the retro card that they come on. So yeah, I keep all the cards. I did originally have them pinned up on my wall back here, but I'm working on clearing this room out. I'm going to do some painting. So I took the cards down. But once I paint, maybe I'll put them back up. They're really nice cards and a decent figure. So here's a closer look at my retro Marvel Legends Hulk. So it's a nice sculpt. It's a very kind of classic, I would say kind of 70s, 80s Hulk. Ripped purple pants. Big green muscles. What more do you need? But as you can see, I brought out a few other Hulks I have in this scale. So these figures are 3 3/4. The closest thing I have to a kind of 5 points of articulation Hulk, I guess, would be this thing, which I think was actually a Happy Meal toy from back in the 90s. Back when Hulk had this, this look isn't that different from his, from this look, but even just the slight difference of a bad haircut and some blue jeans can really look pretty bad. I was not a fan of this look that the Hulk had in the 90s. This figure is pretty basic. Arms forward, backwards, head turns. Nothing with the legs, but he has this weird bump on his back so you can flex his pecs, I guess. Anyway. But besides that, I also have a whole bunch of Hulks from the Marvel Universe 4-inch line. So these guys are a little bit bigger, but they're obviously much better too. Like all these Hulks are really incredible figures. Like this here is kind of the classic, just green Hulk with the ripped purple pants. A lot of detail. Like it's got that cross hatching in it, and it's got that black wash to really bring out all the detail. So this is an amazing Hulk figure. I have the same one in gray. Then I've got Hulk from when he was a SHIELD agent with his kind of like brush cut. Then I've got Gladiator Hulk from the World War Hulk storyline, or the Planet Hulk storyline. I've got Red Hulks and She-Hulks and Red She-Hulks. Lots of Hulks in this scale. I really didn't need another Hulk, and yet I can't really help myself. There's just something charming about these simple little figures that the more detailed figures just lack. And especially, when they're $5 at the dollar store, they're pretty much impossible to pass up at that price. So yeah, this is a fun little Hulk.
As long as he can still Hulk smash, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Now, I can't remember, doing 3 episodes in a row, I can't remember what we talked about in this episode or last episode. Did I say that I'm going to see Guns N' Roses in this episode?
Sure.
Yes. This coming weekend, I'm going to see Guns N' Roses play. Carrie Underwood is opening for them. I don't know why. Anyway, I am a Guns N' Roses fan. I've been a Guns N' Roses fan since they showed up. I had Appetite for Destruction on cassette tape when I was a kid. Anyway, my buddy Guy, I hung out with him the other day, and he surprised me with this Axl Rose figure. Now, it is from Funko, the guys that make Funko Pops. And I do collect Funko Pops. I actually have an Axl Rose Funko Pop already. It seems like Funko's always trying to recreate their success, and they do those soda things, and they do these things, which I guess the line is called Vinyl Gold. It'll probably be short-lived, and they'll probably fizzle out. But yeah, it's Axl Rose, and it's pretty cool. Like, it looks more like Axl Rose than Funko Pop does.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this is a cool little thing that I will stick on my shelf, and yeah. So thank you, Guy, for that. So here's a closer look at my Axl Rose. And yeah, this is definitely Axl Rose back in his heyday. I'm shooting this insert footage after I'm back from seeing Guns N' Roses. I saw them the other day, and they were still really good. They played for 3.5 hours. It was a great show. Axl actually looks really good compared to how I saw them a few years back, maybe 10 years ago, and Axl looked a little rough. And, he had a big old handlebar mustache, and he had put on some weight, and he wasn't really running around so much. But this time around, he actually was, he was clean shaven, he was thin, he was running around the stage. He looked really good, but he didn't sound super great. But anyway, the rest of the band sounded great, and I still really enjoyed the show. But anyway, so this is Axel back in the 80s, early 90s, when he was a young man. And it's a good looking figure. There's no articulation on it whatsoever. Now I will bring out my little Funko Pop Axl Rose, so you can tell they're modeled after the same, similar look. They've got the sunglasses on top of the exact same red bandana, but this guy's going with the black leather kilt that Axl Rose used to wear sometimes. But they're pretty similar, and they're both pretty cool little figures. But anyway, that's all I really have to say about this guy. But I'm going to show you a little bit of Guns N' Roses footage that I shot the other night. And yeah, it was a good time. I've previously showed you guys, I've got 2 of the Indiana Jones figures from Hasbro.
Yes, yep.
I will probably buy more figures from that line, but most of them are just guys in suits. And I kind of figure if I wait it out, I can get them on discount. And I did. So the figure I wanted most, besides Indiana Jones, was this guy. He's the bad guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Nazi guy. And I got him half price at my comic shop, Strange Adventures. So,
is this at the Buddy store, or?
Yeah, is at their Dartmouth store, yeah. So it works out because I go to Strange Adventures in Halifax, and then they have another location across the bridge in the sister city of Dartmouth. And it seems like whenever they have toys that aren't selling in Halifax, they ship them over to Dartmouth and they put them up for half price. So this was like a $35 figure. They send them over to Dartmouth, where they sell them for, $18, $17 or whatever. And I saw it on Instagram, and it's really a pain in the ass for me to go to the Dartmouth store, so I said, I'll buy that for you. You send it back to Halifax for me. So then they ship it back over to Halifax, and I still get it at the half price. So, anyway, so this guy's name...
TOHT?
Yeah, TOHT or TOHT, I don't know.
I can't look at him the same anymore.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, check out his Instagram.
Yeah, so this guy... I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark a million times. Mm-hmm. I love that movie. That's why this character, I wanted to have him. He's got some memorable scenes. Although, it's funny, when I kind of Googled him after I bought the figure, because I was wondering if they actually say his name in the movie. Because I see this toy for sale, and his name is Reginald Edmund TOHT or something like that. I'm like, what? I don't remember that being his name at all. And so I was kind of Googling it. I still am not sure whether they say it in the movie or not. But some interesting facts about him is that he has apparently no dialogue at all in the third act of the movie. Yeah. There was a couple interesting things I read about him. I was like, oh, that's weird that he made such an impression, because he apparently only has 17 lines in the whole movie, and 4 or 5 of them are in German. So it's not like he's all that quotable or anything, but he was a creepy guy. He made an impression in that movie. And the figure's pretty cool. It looks like the actor. His hat comes off. He's got a little bald head underneath there. And he's got his coat comes off, because he wears his coat over his shoulders like that in the movie, so you can take that off, and he is just a dude in a suit. And he also has an alternate head with his face melting from when they open the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad I got him. I'm glad I got him for half price. So here's a closer look at Arnold TOHT. So I think it's a pretty good likeness. Like I said, the hat comes off. It's kind of a soft, pliable material. The glasses I don't think come off. You could probably pry them off if you wanted to, but they seem to be glued in place. Now when I look at this close up through the camera, I see that I've got a paint splotch on his nose, which is kind of crappy. but I don't really notice it when I've got it in hand. It just seems enhanced on the camera. Anyway, you see he's got his little German pistol there as well. I really like the silhouette with the coat draped over his shoulders, but that just comes off as one single piece like that. And there we have him. Now for additional accessories, he comes with a piece of the Ark of the Covenant. So I now have 2 pieces because I have the Indiana Jones and the TOHT. So I still need the other like 3 or 4 figures in order to complete the whole arc. He has a couple extra pieces here, so I'm going to just pop his hand off because he also has an additional hand that has the a little tough to get that on there, but he's got the like amulet or whatever burned into his hand. Just like in that the scene where he grabs at the amulet and it gets burned into his hand, and then he kind of uses that to find the secret location. So that's kind of cool. And then of course he has an alternate head, which let's pop this off. This one on. Doesn't want to go on there tightly. But you get the idea. Anyway, so that's him with his mid-melted face, just like the scene in the movie when he looks at the Ark of the Covenant as it's being opened, and then all the spirits fly out and kill all the Nazis and melt his face. And so that's a pretty cool, pretty gruesome little sculpt. So yeah, I'm really glad I got this figure to have some sort of foil for Indiana Jones on my shelf. And yeah, he's pretty cool. I got some stuff from Big Bad Toy Store a little while ago. Some of that stuff I'm going to do full like Marvel Legends reviews, full Transformer reviews. But I got some odds and ends. So this is a reaction figure I got, and it's not from any line in particular. This is just called an Astro Zombie.
Looks like he would belong out of Mars Attacks.
Well, the funny thing, you can actually buy him, because they do that with a lot of the reaction figures, is they repaint them over and over again. I pre-ordered 2 of them. One of them is painted like that. The other one is painted to look like a Mars Attacks alien. I canceled the Mars Attacks alien.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, like, I don't have any attachment to Mars Attacks myself. I like this character. Like, it's just it's a zombie astronaut. Like I said, it's not based on anything, really. And when I saw them, I kind of impulsively pre-ordered both of them. And I thought they would both come in stock at the same time. But then Big Bad told me this one is in stock and the other one was still on pre-order. And so I had them ship this one to me. And I like it. But after I had it in hand, I was like, I am trying to stop buying random things. I'm trying to keep my collecting a little more focused right now. And I was like, I don't really need another one of these. One is plenty. So yeah, it's a zombie in a space helmet. It's got like a clear dome helmet. It comes off. The reason that I wanted this guy is because, and you might have seen this when I posted him on Instagram, but you know I used to have a lot of adventure people when I was a kid. Yeah. Fisher-Price adventure people. I've got one pinned on my wall right now. Anyway, this is the Fisher-Price adventure person I had as a kid. This was like a spaceman. And this Astro Zombie is very clearly an homage to that like 70s action figure. So he's in the exact same colors. They both have green skin with like blue hair, and they've got the same little panel on their chest and everything. So that's when I saw this figure advertised online, I was like, the nostalgic feels got me, and I was like, yeah, I need to get this figure because I still have that figure in my collection from like my childhood.
Although he's wearing heightened sneakers.
Yeah, he's got big platform shoes on. I'll do a little splice and you guys can see the close-up and how similar these are. But he was pretty cool. So here is a closer look at the Astro Zombie. So I'll splice in a shot of the blister card that he came on here, and you can see like it's got some really cool artwork with a couple of these zombies walking around on a space station or something. It's just got a really cool retro kind of sci-fi 60s 70s vibe. I don't know, but yeah, very cool figure. And this is the kind of thing that I might have pinned up on my wall and kept carded. But because I'm taking all my carded things off my wall presently and stuff, I decided, what the hell, I'll just open this guy up. So yeah, he's a pretty neat little figure. So he's a reaction figure, so he's only got the 5 points of articulation, legs, forward, backward, arms, forward, backward, and the head turns. He doesn't have a ton of detail. He's got little knee pads, a couple of seams in his costume. It almost looks like he's got some tears in his costume here that he sealed up with some electrical tape or something. He's got this little Darth Vader panel on his chest. And then you can sort of see his zombie face through the dome. Now this is one thing that I don't like about the figure, and one of the reasons that I decided to cancel the other figure. Because these guys aren't cheap. These guys are $25 Canadian plus shipping. So, I end up paying $30 or more for these guys. And I really kind of wanted them to knock it out of the park. But this dome really just rests very lightly on his head. It kind of tucks in because there's a little lip on it. And the lip kind of tucks in there, but it by no means locks into place. And so I kind of thought that was kind of cheap. So I was like, you know what? This figure is not a home run. I'm not going to pay for another one of these things. So, yeah, it's cool that the dome is there, but I wish it did stay on, and not at risk of falling off if I hold him upside down. But anyway, by removing it, we can get a closer look at his face. And I really think the face is probably the coolest thing about this figure anyway. I love that basically skeleton face, but not quite skeleton. I guess that's a zombie. His face is kind of sunken in. He's got those creepy glowing yellow eyes. And then he's got a lightsaber, I guess. Whatever that's all about. But anyway, it's a cool figure. And here's the Adventure Person figure. So this is from Fisher-Price back in the late 70s, early 80s. I used to have a bunch of these figures. And most of them were just civilian people. You could get people with a camper and people with a little leisure boat and stuff like that. But occasionally they had some more action-oriented packs race car drivers, and they just so happen to have a spaceman. So I think it's pretty evident that the Astro Zombie is based on this guy with the colors. He's got the green face, the yellow eyes, the blue hair, the black outfit with the panel on the chest. He's got the silver around his wrists. He's got the silver and the big silver platform boots. So yeah, these guys are definitely, they share an aesthetic, that's for sure. And they look pretty cool together. Yeah, so that's kind of why I had to get this guy. It's just all about nostalgia. But anyway, yeah, he's a pretty neat little figure.
Solid addition.
Yeah. Now I had two more here. One of them was a Red Sonja figure, but I think I might save her for another video because I feel she deserves a little better than just getting lumped in here at the end.
I would agree with that.
So I'll talk about her in another time. But how long have we been talking?
We could probably get away with talking about him and then the sign off before it stops.
I might hold off on him too.
Okay.
So I don't know what I'm going to talk about when I review Sonja. I usually don't just do a single toy review.
Right.
But maybe this is my new medieval spawn. He's cool. If you want more details about him, stay tuned. I'll do a video with him and Red Sonja maybe at another time. So I think that's it. That's my randomy stuff. I still have a lot of other stuff to cover. But like I said, I want to do kind of more focused videos.
He's not joking.
I think you guys tend to watch more when I say, Star Wars video, G.I. Joe video, rather than miscellaneous pile of random shit video. So, yeah, that's why I want to save Sonja for later, because, it's a cool figure. So I want you guys to be able to see her. Is that it, then? Another short episode.
We're on a roll tonight, I think.
Yeah, okay. This episode will actually be long. Right now it's 30 minutes exactly, which is pretty short for us. But I'm going to splice in little reviews of all these things I've already showed you, which will probably add another 20 minutes onto the video anyway. So, why don't we sign off?
All right. So, thanks for watching again. Episode 3 tonight. They probably won't appear in that order. It'll be a couple weeks apart. So, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
I really need a new icon. I've been using the same icon for years now that has the like and subscribe button. I probably should get one that has like, subscribe, and comment. Because we're pointing up here and saying comment when really...
Comment should be like this. I say it out of order and I get confused sometimes. So.
And I'm sure you guys realize this button that you've seen doesn't actually do anything. We point to it, but that's...
Yeah.
Because other videos will embed a link and you can, like... If you've been clicking that, you're not doing us any favors.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, the link buttons are actually down below. Like it and comment and everything down there. But, all right, we'll see you soon with another video.
Until next time.
Ciao.
Keep collecting.